All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today, sitting down with me is Coach Gower. He was gracious enough to come on the podcast, my lonely little podcast. Coach, just in case people don't know who you are, could you please introduce yourself to all the loyal fans out there?
Sure. Hey guys, I'm Tite Gower. I'm born and raised from Oklahoma. I've been in Oklahoma for a long time. Recently moved down to Texas not long ago. Like I said, man, just blessed to be part of this game. Thank you for having me on this podcast. You know, we'll talk a little bit of something, so maybe we'll get a few nuggets out of here.
I think I do every single time. I'm not saying people get things from me, but I get things from them. Um, so you moved from Oklahoma to Texas, you said?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
is there a big difference in football? Like, is Texas everything they say it is?
Man, yeah, yes. I come from a state that's got 3.5 million people in the whole state. You
Right,
know, moved down to Dallas. There's 4 million people in the DFW Metroplex. 4 million
right,
people in Houston. So the sheer numbers, especially in the suburban areas, the one of the biggest differences is every week. It seems like every week in the higher classifications, 4A, 5A, 6A, that there's at least one guy that's D1, that's major.
right.
Whether it be a running back, a receiver, a quarterback, a linebacker, a safety, whatever it is. The talent down here is unbelievable. Now, I was also fortunate enough to be in 6A in the highest classification, Oklahoma. And the talent there is also when you're comparing talent, a D1 guy is a D1 guy, whether he goes to OU, Texas, or whatever. But there's more of them on the field, I guess
Right.
you could say, down here. So that's probably one of the biggest deals. Facilities, obviously unbelievable. You come, it's always on Twitter, guys that fly down here to clinic or just come down here to see family or whatever it is. The cathedrals that are Texas high school football stadiums are just highly impressive, but at the same time, you only play with 11.
Right.
The field's still the same. 10 personnel is 10 personnel. 3-4 is 3-4. So yes, there are differences, but it's still ball.
Right. I had a buddy move down there 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and he ended up coaching middle school. And that's what he said. He goes, football is football, but the size of these middle school kids is ridiculous. The amount of time those coaches get to put in compared to everybody else is just off the
Sure,
charts.
sure. And that everybody works this amount of hours, or everybody comes in on Saturday, Sunday. I mean, I'm not going to say that I've been in a place where we work more, work less, or whatever. It's also about being efficient. Now, I know some guys that they'll come in at 12 on Sunday and they won't leave again until 11:59 p.m. So, it, I've been on staff, so I'm fortunate that we've got good guys, good people, good workers, and especially with Huddle and the technology game. There's been some Saturdays that we went in for a couple hours, but we got our work done,
Right.
and we did it at night or whatever, and so the hours, like I said, I'm not going to say, hey, Texas grinds out more than anybody else, but I do know that there's some guys that are grinders around here. So
Yeah, I think my girlfriend would kill me if I was gone that long just to do football on a Sunday. She might beat me with a whip outside or something. Who knows? I don't. She knows I can do it on Saturday, but then Sunday's like, Steve, you already do nothing. I'm like, you got it. That's all I have to hear. Um, so I'm curious with some coaches, how did you get into coaching football? Because we all have a different way of doing it. Like I was
yeah,
15. I was 15 years old. I was like, I'm going to do this. Like I knew, but everybody else has their own path.
right. Yeah. For me, I'm a coach kid.
Okay.
My dad was um, well, he's retired now. Was a coach, is a coach, for 30 plus years. His dad was also a teacher, was a coach, was an administrator. And so I think even before birth, I think my career was set for me. So growing up, I grew up in a small town, southeast Oklahoma, and when the doors were open for any athletic, band, choir, you name it, FFA, I was at it,
Mhm.
and really I hung out with Dad a lot. I fell in love with the game. I was fortunate enough to play Division II ball in Oklahoma, and I just fell in love with it. Now, not to say that this game hasn't beat me down to my knees sometimes and humbled me. It has, but it's been successful for me. It's also given me the ability to go clinic and network and speak all over the country. I've been able to speak at Glacier clinics at 8 different locations. And so to be able to network and connect. But where did it start? It started with my family. My dad's brother. He's a coach, and so Thanksgiving, Christmas, we get to draw on napkins a whole lot and stop each other and hey, what about this and do this. So long story short, man, it came from my upbringing. Didn't know how to do anything else. Couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. I saw the impact that of what football can do on and off the field for a school, for student athletes, for community, and literally I grew up in a town where that was the only thing to do in town. I mean, that was it. You talk about and all that. I grew up literally in a town of about 1,500 people, and literally the town kind of shut down on Friday night. Win, lose, draw. That was the only thing to do in town.
Right.
So, I grew up with that and being the ball boy. I was the ball boy at 6 years old on sidelines. So, as I grow up and I think about, 33 years old now and I got a son and married, but growing up, it was entrenched in me, and they never, my parents, my dad never forced on me, hey, you will coach. And it wasn't like that. I didn't know how to do anything else. So That's how I got my start, or why I wanted to start, should I say.
Right. Nope. I grew up in a town very similar. My high school had 310 kids, 20 kids in it. Now I live in the suburbs of Chicago, which is completely different than anything I've ever experienced. 4-lane roads are not for me. So God bless all of you that live that way. But girlfriend got a job in the suburbs. So happy wife, happy life. Moved to the suburbs. So, but no, I understand the small town life. I think that's one of the only ways to go. I think people have to experience it sometime.
Yeah. And, for me, like I said, I moved down here to the DFW Metroplex a couple of years ago. And before that I was in Norman, Oklahoma, where Oklahoma University is. And even for me, that's big, in DFW, it might as well be a different country down here. So I do like going back home and riding the 4-wheeler and being outside and getting away from it. I don't have many hobbies. I really don't. I like going to the lake and I like going to the outdoors, and that's pretty much it. I don't golf. I don't do all that stuff. So, it's great being in a metro location, but at times I got to get away from it too. So.
Well, you'll save money not golfing. Trust me, I tried golfing before. You'll save a ton.
I just can't. And I know lots of dudes who can stroke it. I just my hobbies include my family, the lake, being outdoors, and football. I mean those are what I do. So
there's nothing wrong with that. Trust me, golf is the hardest sport I've ever done or tried in my life, and that's the problem. Being a football player, coach, to go golf or too competitive. I'm the guy that will toss the club or just in the woods, like, oh, this is stupid.
I know, I can't play 18 holes. I'll try to swing it, but dude, by hole 4, 5, 6, I'm done. I get so mad at it. So
yeah, I could do the front 8 or 9, and then I'm like, nope. After that, my back, or I'm just like, this is enough.
Yeah, I'm done, no doubt.
I've done the whole courses before, and about 12, I'm like, are we done yet? Like that's. So you're a defensive guy, and this is gonna be a stupid question. How did you become a defensive guy? Because sometimes people are like, no, I'm a football coach, but no, like,
right.
Some people are defensive guys, some people are offensive guys.
Well, growing up, my old man, he comes from a flex bone, split back veer, midline triple type of offense, and so growing up, that's kind of what I knew. And my uncle, my dad's brother, he's an air raid, Tony Franklin, throw it all over the yard, that type. And so for me, like I said, I was kind of inbred in the offensive world. Well, come to find out, I started playing college, and I, played outside backer, and some safety, but played defense for 4 years of college, and graduated, and then my first job, I guess you say, was a GA job, was a grad assistant job at Henderson State University in Arkansas, Division II school. And I just graduated college in December. And bad time to graduate, if you're educated. I had an education degree, and so here I am trying to find a job. The Henderson State had a defensive GA job open. And so I knew that's another long story. But anyway, I had a guy who helped me out, went to Arkadelphia, Arkansas, took that job, was a GA there for a couple of years, and literally for a lot of it, not all of it, for a lot of it, lived in the office. I mean, literally, that was my address. That I put a cot up and lived in my office. And so anyway, became a defensive guy, I guess, by playing college for 4 years and also being, a GA for 2 years on coach secondary, being the defensive side of the ball. And so just kind of stuck to it, and so I don't know that I woke up and went, hey, I'm going to be a defensive guy, right. But it just kind of happened. And honestly, it's made me a better football coach. Now I've never called an offensive play before, but in my aspect of my believing of, it's the stuff that those offensive guys keep me up at night. Formations, motions, read this guy, we're going to throw a second level RPO, whatever it may be. That's made me better. That's made me understand run fits, made me understand, how you're going to fit the seventh guy, or, the seventh or eighth fitter versus two back. Are you going to max fit the run? Are you going to what kind of space you going to use in the run, or how to bluff it and bring it from the other side. And so lots of aspects I think have made me a better coach, coaching defense first. And I would venture to say, for I say any young coaches, old coaches, if you've never been on the defensive side of the ball or whatever, and that's what I like to do at clinic is I like to go see offensive guys. Mm-hmm. It's great to see defense guys, and I pick something up, don't get me wrong, but when we go to clinic and network, I want to go see offensive guys. How are they combating? How are they targeting me? What's the new glam, the new thing that's out there?
Right.
And so kind of from my 2 cents is if you're a young coach, you think I'm an offensive guy, and everybody wants to play offense. Everybody likes lighting up the scoreboard, and everybody would rather light up the scoreboard than see you shut out people. It's just the way we are, And right. So I would venture you young guys, you OCs, go study defense. I'm not saying don't study. I'm not saying don't watch it, but go get with your DC. Sometimes it's like, well, we think he's going to be here. It's like, well, why don't you know? Go meet with your DC. Go meet with some opponents. Go meet with some guys defensively. That will make you better. That will make because it's like I love drawing up. I always see offensive guys. They always draw up a 4-2 box, right? Everything works against a 4-2 box. And like everybody draws up 2 back or a tight end 3-man surface, and they all have a 4 down with 2 backers. Well, there's 7 guys that we're trying to fit. So that nickel star guy with the free safety. No offensive guy draws up the free safety and inside run. You know what I'm saying? So, but that guy's crucial to our run fit. That's the guy that we're trying to use in our run fit. So, long story short, I know that was a big mash of words, but that's kind of how I got started defense.
No, I'm guilty. I'm the O-line coach and run game coordinator, and you are right. I install a run game. What's the first thing I draw? I draw an over front with 2 linebackers in the middle. I don't know why that's our go-to. That's just like the easiest thing for us to see.
You said it right there. I'm going to stop you right there. You said it. You see all these offense guys, they draw up, and they tweet it out or whatever, and they all draw up over front because the angles are easy. Mm-hmm. It's easy to block back a shade. It's easy to block back, block out, block back on a 3 technique. The angles are good, and if you drop a 4-2, say you're in doubles or 2x2, right?
Right.
If it's true 4-2, well, yeah, you're gonna have an overhang to the field, but you're playing like 2 over 2 to the boundary, and secondary wise, those numbers don't add up. I may be 3 over 2 to the field, but I'm 2 over 2. And I know run fit guys are saying, well, I've got to have 6 in the box versus, those 6 gaps. I'm like, well, yeah, okay, I get it. But one of the reasons we went to like the 4-eye, 0-4-eye plan, everybody calls it the tight front,
Right.
is because the angles are harder on you O-line coaches, and with playing, shade 3, there are 2 bubbles. There's a bubble between the shade and the 5 in the B gap and a shade and the 3 in the A gap. So to understand run fit spacing, if you're playing too high, you're playing quarters or whatever, you better know how to cancel those gaps in a 4-down front. You better know how to pirate and stunt and move gaps and change gaps. Because again, like I said, it's easy to block back a shade. It's easy to block back on a 3. The angles are great. The angles are not as good against the 4-eye, 0-4-eye.
No, those stupid 4 eyes that I
so you said it, to offensive guys out there, I love it when you guys draw up, 4-2 and you're like, oh yeah, we'll throw uncovered. Yep, great. I'm with you. Okay. Now draw 4-eye, 0-4-eye with 220 linebackers and 2 overhangs both sides.
Right.
3 over 2. I'm 5 in the box for your 5 linemen and 3 over 2 the other one. Okay. That was one of the reasons we went to a 4-eye, 0-4-eye, not 5-0-5. Okay, I mean 4-eye, 0-4-eye. We'll shade the nose one way or the other. We'll stay 2 4 eyes. And so that was one of those reasons of why we went the way we did. We were tired of pirating and stunting the front. We were tired of giving easy angles to the offense. We go on and on about that, but that's one of the reasons why we went odd front.
Right. I think I do that because I've been a part of so many programs that are rebuilding. So when we install, it's a new offense, and I'm trying to get those kids to see it. So now it's become a habit. Then, like you said, now I see other coaches do it. I'm like, oh, we do have a problem. But our conference, I only see an even man front 2 or 3 times. So we're going to see 3-3 stack and 3-5, and
sure.
So I install it with the 4-man because we run a 4-2-5. So I'll install against a 4-2-5 just because that's what we do.
Right.
Then here in about a week or so, I'm gonna be like, okay, now we're gonna have to do a 3-man front because 70% of the time that's what we're gonna see.
Sure.
And it's gonna look different. But you're right. I think us offensive guys have a problem. But I will admit, I've coached defense. It's whoever has the chalk last. I can't stand that. It's good to have fun, but when you're getting an argument with somebody, whoever has the chalk last. Like you said, I could draw something up, but you're gonna say, but this is what I do. Well, If you do that, I do this. But then your comeback that's going to be, well, did you know I called it? Did you know I called that coverage? Did you know I did this?
And that's where, like, you talk about everything looks good on paper, offensively and defensively.
Yeah.
And here comes the whole execution, and they've got to run it and do it right. Yeah, I get that. But it's like, even between coaches, we have the chalkboard with each other. Even though I think about 4 down front, do you know that guy's just going to stay a 3 technique the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Do you know that 6 or 7 or 6-eye or whatever you want to call him? How do you know we're not bringing, loop stunt? You know what I mean? And so those guys move on Friday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get it. You can block back the center on the shade and say, oh yeah, that looks really, really good. Is he gonna cross face the center? I mean, so I'm guilty. I love having chalk. I love clinicking and talking and learning and I like having the pen in my hand last. Don't get me wrong. But that's always my argument about, do you know that guy's always going to be there?
And it's okay if one of your plays isn't perfect. I found out with offense, like when we're installing something, like if we put in power and I come up with base rules, but what if they do this? Okay, well, we tweak it. But what if they do this? What if they do this? And I finally one time was like, then don't call the play. Call something else.
Right.
Like that's another thing I think coaches don't realize is it's not going to be perfect. Yeah, defense is going to get you. Yeah, offense is going to get you. It's okay if your coverage, your scheme, or whatever, it does not beat everything. It's
right.
Okay.
And those are times, you'll fit something up on the board on Saturday and Sunday, your game plan, and I have. And this is my opinion. I have what's called, hey, that's coaching, versus, hey, that's DNA. Okay. Mm-hmm. I have what's called coaching versus versus the matchup. Right. Okay. Right. Anybody can throw fade 1-on-1, the 6'3" wide receiver versus 5'10" corner. Okay. Right. To me, yes, you looked out there and went, hey, we can win the vertical ball. Yeah, okay, that's coaching. Yeah. But to me, that's a matchup thing. Right? Coaching to me is, okay, you run 2 back kick out power. How do I get the third over there? How do I get 3 hats to fit your 2 pullers? To me,
right.
That's coaching, right? Okay. And everybody says, well, that's the guy we can't block. Perfect. That's exactly what I want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then it comes down to, well, when he's down, we're just going to read him. We're going to throw 3rd level RPO or whatever. Again, now it becomes, well, you lost offensively. You lost the chalk war because you can't fit the 3rd guy. Right.
Right.
So now we're going to go to the DNA matchup. We're going to go to the, the advantage that you have, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
If it's all equal, here's another deal. Let's say, let's say I've got a great corner as a D1 guy, and your receiver, he's not a D1 guy. Now, do you feel good about throwing the glance?
Right. Are you sure you want him? You sure you want him to do that RPO for you?
Yeah.
Sure you want him to read that?
And so here comes the whole Jimmys and Joes and players make plays. And yes, no argument. You're 100%. I'm with you. Absolutely. But there comes a chess match on Saturday and Sunday that bleeds into Friday.
Mm-hmm.
That every time my 3rd hat is just, you get a 1 or 2 yard gain. You're going to get a 3 yard gain once in a while. I know that. I get it. Okay. But, and then there comes time where, okay, your running back is D1 and my 3rd fit ain't. And your D1 running back, ran over, juked, whatever you want to call it. But I still can lay my head down at night knowing I've got 3 for your 2.
Right.
Okay. And so it's it's the offensive defensive matchup. Like I get it. You're looking for matchups. You're trying to win the one-on-ones. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've at least got to lay my head down at night and say, when you run this, I've got 1 more than you can block.
Right.
I've got a way that guy can't beat me. I did a game, I've done a game plan clinic for Glazier and for other people that, how to defend the X, how to defend the guy that can't beat you. Talking about receiver wise, and still fit the box.
Right.
And so, to me, that's coaching. Something I've come up with. I've called and stolen and begged and borrowed and clinicked. And how do you do this and how do you do that? And to me, that's coaching. I'm not going to allow you to have a one-on-one matchup. I'm going to try to take away that call sheet, that section of your call sheet that guy's got to touch the ball 10 times a night.
Right.
Okay, I only want that guy to touch it 2 or 3 times.
Right.
They'll be solid in the run game. So for me, like I said, I got my start coaching defense, and that was the way that I always want to be able to fit the 3rd. Obviously, when you get 2 pullers, you get 1 puller. I want to fit 2. I always want to be +1 in the run game. Like, I'm not trying to win 0 football. I'm always trying to win +1 football. Like, I don't want to tell our kids, hey, you just got to get off the block and win. I just it was important to block the struck and get off blocks and run the ball and tackle and swarm and yeah. Okay, but my thought is I don't want to be the whole culture. Hey, we're going to win 0 football. 0 football meaning, hey, I've only got 2 for your 2, and if you block both of them, hey, you win. But my 2 are going to get off the block and they're going to stymie it and they're going to spill it. I'm out on that game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not going to tell my kids to win 0 football all the time, every time. Okay, can't do that. And so I think part of your culture, okay, part of who you are as a coach, as a program, is finding. Again, I talk about 2-back run game. Find the 3rd. That's culture. Making your kids believe in the scheme. You're telling your kids, listen, we've got the outside linebacker, we've got the inside linebacker. Okay, we're going to box it, we're going to spill it, and you're the free safety. You're the 3rd hat. Now the kid knows, hey, I'm the guy. He's done his job. He's done his job. I'm the 3rd guy. That's culture, defensive culture. So,
well, that's similar to offense. If you want to think about offensively, what do we do for run blocking? Well, if there's one guy, can we double him? Now we're bringing another guy to double to get to another guy. It's very similar. A lot of defensive guys, not a lot, but some are saying, why not call the defense like they do offense? Can we give them a different look? Like I'm buddies with Nick Davis, who just left Rose-Hulman.
Yeah.
He told me that. He said for their speed defense, he goes, I'm going to out formation the offense. I'm going to line up guys differently all the time, and I call the same coverage 5 times in a row or the same blitz 5 times in a row, and we're just going to move. And he kind of does the same thing you said. So it's like defensive guys are going to call it like an offense to try to get an advantage, if that makes sense.
Yes. And I think that's – and don't get me wrong. Hey, there's there's been times where we've shut out people. There's times where we've given up 50. And so and same with offense coordinators. There's times they've scored 50, and there's also times they've been shut out. Is he a bad coach? No. Am I a bad coach? Sometimes, yeah. But it's like, it's I think sometimes you get in this game of I can't block that third guy, or I've got to waste a double on somebody, and so I really, really am passionate to harp on this about finding matchups is not really coaching.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to look out there and go, that guy's better than the other guy.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. Let's throw it to him. Mm-hmm. It's, coaching. I go back to my dad. I've seen him forever run midline veer triple option. Okay. Because he's always been at small school, small town America type places. And lots of times, let's say his kids weren't as good as the ones across, across the line of scrimmage. So what did he do? He learned veer. He learned midline. He learned triple. And all the intricacies that went with the triple offense.
Right.
That was coaching, because, again, he looks at, I can't win that one-on-one matchup. I can't ask my guard to win 3 technique all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Right.
Right.
And so, with that offense and learning from my dad, I can't say, hey, you got to, 5 technique. Hey, you got to beat the tackle every time. No, I wanted to play the tackle, but there's got to be a time where he's going to win +1 football. Or
right.
We're going to be +1. We're going to make calls, or we're going to scheme it some way where it's +1. Again, I'm not going to win 0 football.
Right.
And so, I learned that from my dad. I learned that from other coaches I've been around. And so, defensive world, +1 is always a good math problem to have,
Right. I used to be an assistant DC for 2 years. Do you guys ever sleep as defensive coordinators? I know I lost sleep as an assistant DC. Then I went back to offense. I was like, I sleep better now. I don't.
Yeah, what I lose sleep over, and here's what's kind of funny is mostly, I'll say mostly, more times than not, especially in Oklahoma and Texas and the larger classifications. Okay, you see the quote Saturday offense, right?
Right.
The 1 backs, inside zone. The 2 back where it's GH counter, throw the RPO glance, quick game, that type of stuff. Okay. It's kind of funny. I'll get guys, from your area who will DM me and say, Coach, talk to me about defending, single wing. And I'm like, and so do I lose sleep? Oh yeah, no doubt. Do I think about this? And oh yeah, we don't have enough. And oh yeah, how do we stop? What I lose sleep over is I'm trying not to make the guy who's going to Texas beat me.
Right.
And like I said earlier, that guy may be going to Texas, but the running back may be going to Stephen F. Austin. He's not Texas OU Power 5, but he's really, really good.
Right.
Stephen F. Austin, Abilene Christian, Sam Houston State, as I talk regionally, our colleges down here. But, so that's always my deal. What guy are we going to take away?
Mm-hmm.
And then what I lose sleep over is, okay, I've got him, but now I've got to stop the other one. And the other one's really dang good.
Right.
And so, because I'm not going to say everybody runs the same stuff, but everybody is in the spread down here, and now smaller schools, hey, you're going to get option. You're going to get wing T. You're going to get some of that old school football.
Right.
And, people still run 1 back power, but it's out of spread it out, check the box, run the box. Spread it out, look the box. Okay, now throw out of the box. So I don't lose sleep over the run fits, really. I lose sleep over, oh, my gosh, we're playing rivals 100 guy. So that's what I've lost the most sleep over, especially being in the large classifications in Oklahoma and Texas.
I think I would too. I don't really see – we play 1 or 2 schools like that up here, and that's it. I don't have to do it all the time. We play normal kits. We don't play the Texas of the world. We don't have to worry about it.
It's and there's some, you look and, hey, they're going to make a highlight of you. Don't get me wrong. And they're going to make a catch or do something that you just go, wow,
right.
And I know that. I know waking up on Friday morning, I know one of those plays is going to happen. Maybe 2 of those plays are going to happen. But I've got to limit those 2 plays. Okay. Right. And again, another side note, everybody has their goal boards, and I've changed mine. I change mine every year, it seems like. And when I was first being defense coordinator 8 years ago, 8 years ago, no explosive plays. That's ridiculous in today's football.
Yeah.
And say, well, what's explosive play? Explosive play for me is anything 25 plus. I think in today's day and age, people take shots and there is explosive plays. I think if you can limit, and our goal is 3 or less. I think if you can have 1 per quarter and you have that shutout in the 4th, I think it gives you a chance to win. Well, Coach, what if those 3, are touchdown plays? What if those 3 are shot plays? Okay, it's 21. I hope our offense has scored 28.
Right.
And even the Alabama guys, a long time ago, their goal was 13 points a game. And even, they talk about it and they say, we've upped it. We've gone 1 more touchdown. We've gone to 19.
Right.
So it's just how the game has evolved and the game has changed. Not, if anybody listens to this, I think you have to evolve with it. I just don't think you can sit out there and play 2 over 2 anymore. I don't. And there's the whole light box theory. When Iowa State came up with their 3 high stuff, in 2017, it really became popular. Well, we did it. We did it in 2016 as a change up. No, we did not do it as a base. It wasn't like, oh yeah, this is what we're going to do. It was a change up. It was like a plan B. Hey, we're going to roll the dice a little bit here. And, I look up and I go, it's a 3-1 box. Talk about losing a few hours of sleep that week, but it was really good because we saw an air raid. We saw a Tony Franklin system type team where they were chunking it every down, every play. It didn't matter what yard line they were on. And we kind of incorporated this 3 safety stuff again as a change up. Don't come to me and say, no, it's not a base. It wasn't. It was a change up for that week. And so I harp on this. What do I lose sleep over? Oh my gosh, how do I stop him?
Right.
So, and I go back to that goal board of, we've upped our explosive plays. Like I said, 8 years ago, 0 explosive plays. And then we had, hey, we only want to give up 21 points a game. Got rid of that. We don't have any goal board that says, hey, we want to limit it to 100 or less yards, 100 less rushing yards. Got rid of that too. Because I've been in ball games where, hey, you win the game, but you gave up 200 yards rushing. You gave up 450, 500 yards of offense, but you won the game because your offense lit it up. But the game finished like 49-42. Yes, we won. Thank goodness. We're all happy. But at the end of the day, we didn't play well, or they're really good on offense, or whatever it was. So we changed our goal boards considerably to be 70% or better on 3rd down. A +1 takeaway. That doesn't mean, everybody said, hey, 3 takeaways. Look, I just want to be +1. I want to get the ball back, okay? If we don't turn it over and we only got 1 takeaway, great. That is a check mark on our goal board, okay? I'm trying to do this. We want to limit 3 or less yards on 1st down 70% of the time. I know on 1st down, if you get 3 out of every 10, and you get 4+ yards, you're going to. Welcome to the day and age of football.
Right.
But 70% of those 7 out of 10, I want to limit you to 3 or less.
Right.
Okay? And then I want to make at least 8 or more mad plays. Coach, what's a mad play? MAD, make a difference play. TFL, sack, big play, interception, something like that, something that changed the momentum. And I think if you can do that twice in a quarter, right, eight times, I think that's really, really important. That, hey, we made 8 make a difference plays, put them behind the sticks, got a takeaway. Had a play that was a big shot, a big hit or whatever it was, it changed the momentum for us. So our goal boards are not number based anymore. And I just got rid of that.
We did the same thing. It was like, do we hold them under points? I said no for 2 reasons. 1, it's unrealistic. 2, if those kids don't get it, they're going to be discouraged.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, we gave up 18 points.
Right.
Is it really that bad? Because then the offense has got to score more.
Right.
So that we kind of went to the percentage thing too. Like when
I got away from that. I remember when I got away from the points per game, I got away from it because we got in a ball game. We got in a ball game one night, and our offense scored 76 points.
Wow. Okay.
We scored 76 points that night. And here's what's funny. they were all offensive scores. They weren't kickoff returns, punt returns. They were 76 offensive points.
Jesus.
Okay. We had 17 possessions that night defensively. Okay. 17 possessions. And we gave up 28. We gave up like 28, maybe 31 points. But the scoreboard said 76 for us.
Right.
And at that time, as I remember, I said on the headset, I said, guys, our goal board of how many points we're getting rid of. Because of nights like this. And here's what's funny. We played really well defensively.
Right.
We go into halftime, and we've given up 10, but the score was like 49-10 at half.
Right.
And when we played well. And they'd had some misfortune. They threw like 2 picks in the first 2 drives. And, just bad things that happened to them that night, our opponent. And I remember saying on the headset that we're getting rid of – not that we got rid of our goal board, but we got rid of how many points per game we gave up.
Right.
We won the ball game by 45 points that night. Played well, and that was always that conversation about halftime, middle of third quarter, that headset conversation. All right, when did we pull our guys?
Right.
And when we pulled them, it was 63, 61 to 10. They had not scored after halftime. So here we are, we're up 50 points, and we're having that conversation. Well, here we go. We put in our young pups, and we all know how that happens.
Right.
Right. And so, no knock on them. It was a great experience. But that was that night where we looked at, so we got to change our goal board, or what we do, what we calculate. So I remember we came in Saturday, we lifted, we run, we saw them, and not that our kid, that maybe they noticed, maybe they didn't, but we talked about our goal board. Said, hey, you see this right here? It's gone, deleted. It's no longer part of our goals anymore.
Right.
And so again, I evolved that night. Not that I evolved during the season. I evolved that night.
Right.
And so I think it was cool that, hey, we were winning, but my gosh, we played a bunch of possessions that night.
Yeah. Like when you give them that many possessions, they might score 28 points.
Yes.
So you can't blame them when you go, like, that's because your offense was scoring. So you made a good point. Like, that's not the defense's fault. That's just like, oh, we scored again. We got to go back out there.
Yeah. And that's I remember one sequence where we golf field was like 3 and out, made him punt. Well, the very next play, we throw a shot and we score. It's like a 70-yard, whatever it was. Well, here we are. We're back on the field again. I won't say a 3 and out, but it was quick. We made him punt again, maybe 4 or 5 downs. Made him punt again. Here we go. It might have been a 4-play drive.
Mm-hmm.
There's been about 3 minutes bled off the clock, and here we are. We played 3 possessions.
Right.
So anyway, but that was one of those nights that, like, you evolve as a coach.
Yeah, you you adapt or die.
Yeah.
That you have to.
Yep.
Defense, offense, culture, you have to adapt. Like,
yeah. And that's where, I'm a coach kid. My dad played back in 1970s and coached in the 80s and the 90s, and everybody was in some type of 50 eagle, and everybody was in a 2-back set, run,
right.
Toss, power, counter, ISO, boot pass, and we were slowly seeing it, but nobody was really chunking the ball yet.
Right.
Back in 96, 98, 99, 2000, everybody was still in between tackles, and you saw it on Saturday, but no one was, hey, we're going to spread it out every play. Like, this is what we do. And so, you still got to tackle. You still got to block. You still got to run the football. You still have to execute, okay? The game has not changed in that aspect, okay? Right. The game is still the same. Who's that? One of the whole, whoever tackles better, block, physical, run the football, limit big plays. That is still intact and has been for 100 years, and will be for another 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But I think the evolvement, right, the evolution of coaching in football is, like I said, your goal board. What are the things that really matter to how you win?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right. Okay.
What are the things that really matter how you're run fitting stuff? And I'm talking about from defense perspective, right? So those are, like I said, 2 of the 748 that I've got in my ideas of evolution of coaching the past 20 years.
Well, then from an offensive point, we're making a full circle. You're seeing buck sweeps come back. You're seeing belly come back. They're doing it from a pistol or a spread look.
Yeah.
And it's because I've said this a million times. I'm an offensive guy. Defense coordinators are really, really, really smart. They are going to figure out how to slow it down. That was another thing. It's not about stopping anybody anymore. It's slowing it down. That's another thing I've seen. So now people are going to buck sweep. They're going to triple option out of the pistol. They're going, and so I'm like, wait a minute. We did this in the early 2000s when we were all in high school. Now it's coming back. And they're like, no, but we're in 5 yards behind the quarterback. I'm like, no. This is what we did. And
it's so funny. You know, when my dad, again, I humbly say this, you know, I did my student teaching at 22 years old at a school, and he was the offensive coordinator. And so it was really, really cool. I got to coach with him for that one semester. I was in my student teaching in Oklahoma. And I was coaching offense, coaching receivers. You know, I say coaching, I was out there making sure they didn't screw up type of thing. But like I say, he came from a flex bone, split back veer, you know, running midline downhill trap stuff. And he evolved to one back gun. You know, it wasn't flex bone. He flexed those slots out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It kept the same blocking rules, the same schematic rules, the same, we're going to read one, pitch off two, you know, and you know, he was running RPO before we knew what RPO was. We getting two back and you get that safety downhill. Well, we threw it right behind him, you know, and now people call it, you know, second or third level RPO glance. I'm like, I saw this done in 2007, you know?
Right.
And so yes, humbly give my dad credit for stuff like that. And again, this is a small town, right? This is a 3A high school in Oklahoma, you know? And so, as you see it now, everybody's speaking about the RPO game. Yeah, it's cool. It's great. And yeah, it keeps me up at night and pisses me off. But it's funny how he was running stuff in 1989 that transformed formationally to 2007. You know, because everybody's in the box, right? Everybody was in the box, and it was 3 yards and a cloud of dust. Well, now everybody's spread out. Same blocking rules, same schematics.
Yeah.
We just pre-snap formation to death. And so it was cool to see him evolve as a coach, even after 35 years of coaching.
Right.
You know, that he was always growing until he finally said, man, you know, time to hang it up. And we all have a time to hang it up. You know, it's time to hang up the whistle. But after 35 years, and, you know, I guess it was time. But I also saw him do some really, really good things with that too.
Well, there's some coaches out there that won't adapt. And no offense to the wing T offenses, it's just that's what they're going to do.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I know. I've always said, well, what happens when you get kids that come in that are really fast that you could maybe toss them the rock? Well, we'll just do this to get them the ball. I'm like, well, why don't you just do this?
And you know, don't get me wrong. You know, there is a team in the DFW area that they're 5A program and they run wing T and they're incredible. They're always third, fourth round. If you're getting third or fourth round in Texas, you're special.
Right.
You know, you're really special. And down here in Texas, you know, the sixth game is the state championship. Okay, so we play 6 rounds, so 5 and then 6 to get to the state finals. And so getting down here in the third, fourth round, that's a very, very big accomplishment. Right. And so they base out of wing T. And you know it's coming. And you can put 14 guys at the point of attack, and they're still going to run buck sweep. It's still going to happen. And so, you know, they do a great job at it. So I'm not going to say that nobody does it, like I said earlier, but you know, there are still a few that do it. That you talk about adaptation or you know, evolution or whatever. And again, no knock on those guys.
Right.
You know, the whole, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Well, a lot of people, it ain't broke, so don't fix it. But yes, there are those that, hey, just because you did it in 1971 doesn't mean you need to do it in 2020.
Right. Or I'll never throw the ball, or I'll never do this. Well, what happens when you get the athletes that maybe you could squeak that in and then, but don't give up who you are.
Sure.
Squeak that in. And then the next year or 2 years from now, you don't have those kids. Well, you didn't give up your base, what you do. So you just do that. That's what I don't understand of. The worst phrase I've ever heard was, this is the way it's always been done.
Yeah. The worst phrase in English language is, we've always done it that way.
Oh, you know? Yes.
And so, you know, that was one of the reasons why I say, you know, me and a buddy and a couple of guys I know, that we moved from a 4 down to a 3 down, you know, and A long time ago, people started calling it the double eagle, a 3-0-3, and it's the millennial bear, the millennial double eagle. We merely moved them out about a foot to 4 eyes, right? And so there's still B gap players just like you would be a 3 technique. Now techniques and the fundamentals are different, but people got tired of what getting A gap and B gap power. So guess what? They went to double eagle. Okay, they went to playing 3-0-3. Well, guess what? I get tired of people drawing up A gap and B gap power. Where do I want the ball to go? C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J gap. Okay, so that was one of the involvements of one of the reasons of 968 of why we went to the 4 eyes.
Yeah.
And like I said, we could write a book on why we did it. But
I talked to Coach Maines in Florida weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he was the first one talking to me about the Tite. And I was like, I've seen bits and pieces. Sometimes if we see an odd man front, it might be a 5-0-4-eye, something like that.
Sure.
And then this year, I never forget the first game we had in the spring. We saw a 3-3, and we just ISO'd them all the way down the field. And we had the ball for 11 minutes. Like, we just held on to the ball. We get the ball again. They went straight to that 0, 4-eye or 3 because they got tired of us going up the middle.
Right.
My linemen just went like this. They're like, what do we do now? So I talked to him about that, and Coach Davis, and he goes, yeah, it's coming around because we're tired of getting gutted up the middle.
Sure.
So it's amazing how that's come about. So talking to him about it, I'm listening to him like, that's a good idea from a defensive side.
And it's different. When we really sold out to it in 2015, we were kind of playing with it in 14. I remember the conversation, and we had lost conversations. And some friends of mine, we kind of got on the board, and I was still in Oklahoma. We were toying with it. It was one of those, you're throwing darts at a dartboard and hope it sticks, right?
Right.
And then after the 14 season, man, we sat down and we sold out to it. We said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to learn it. We're going to evolve with it. Here's what we're going to do. And obviously, Doug, coach, is different than a 4-down, no kidding. But you talk about the fits, different. You talk about how we technique and fundamental stuff, different.
Mm-hmm.
So you talk about sleepless nights. That was one of them. Trying to convert, and when I was a GA, we were in a 4-down front. My first, when I was at Broken Arrow High School, secondary guy, we were in a 4-down front. Meaning on base downs. And so for 4 years, I'd been over and under front, out of 4 down. We were always going to play, again, on first, second downs, we were always going to play shade 3,
Right.
We may get in double 2, but we're going to move them somehow. And so when we really sold out and sat down and said, we're going to do this, talk about different. But it has changed how we look at things, and it's been great. Now, the issue with that, you talk about the evolution here, that's what defenses are starting to go to. So what are offense starting to do? They're starting to combat it. They're starting to figure out how to do things. But you said earlier, my favorite thing to run against is a 4-2 front. Shade 3 because it's easy. The angles are easy. Well, now offensive guys are getting into nowadays, and they're saying, okay, people are giving us a lot of 4 eyes. How do we combat it? Because again, I think that's what good coaches you have to do. Okay, people are kind of getting out of the 5 shade 3-5 era. They're taking that 5 technique and either taking them off the field or they teach them how to play outside backer.
Right.
And that was another reason of a lot of places I've been, even in 6A Oklahoma, we have a plethora of nickel, dime, outside linebacker techniques, and not as many D-line dudes.
Right.
Well, what's the answer? Well, subtract 1 and put 3 D linemen on the field. Again, that's reason 58 of 968 of them, right, of why we went there. And so, it's different. It makes the angles hard, So, tight front, it's been really, really good. Does it have weaknesses? Yes, but so does the 4-3. So does the 3-stack. It all has weaknesses, okay?
Right.
It all has strengths.
Yeah, because when I was an offensive person, I started coaching when I was like 19, and I'm 30 now, so I've been doing 12, 13 years. I was always a part of a 4-4. I went to a different school. He's a 3-4 guy. So that was the first defense I had to learn, like, to coach. But back then, it was you can't run a 3-4 unless you have this big nose guard. You have to have a big nose guard. and we're talking about evolution down this rabbit hole. I keep bringing up Nick Davis just because we're buddies, and I talk to him. I'm like, well, how can you run this odd man if you don't have a big nose guard? He goes, I can put a fast kid there. He was thinking of it from your offensive line perspective. Well, if I slant him and he's really fast and you've got a big center, it causes fits.
Right.
And I said, that's a good point.
And see, but here's the deal. There are lots of misconceptions about playing the 3-4, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And one of those is you need a dude that knows.
Right.
Okay. When we really sold out to this, the first nose I had was about 5'10" and went about 275, 280. Now, he was a state runner-up in 6A Oklahoma, state runner-up, 6A Oklahoma heavyweight wrestler. You are special. Mm-hmm. Take nothing away from him. He is an unbelievable young man. He's wrestling in college right now. And so he was special. He was really, really special. But then the guy, and he graduated, the guy I had after him, he's 5'10", 225, and they were, both of them are really good, but they were different.
Right.
Okay. The 225 kid was not a dude, and he'll tell you that. He'll admit that. But he was a really, really good player because his feet were unbelievable. His hips were unbelievable. He was not the jet, knock you off, play two-gap type guy, right? People think if you're going to play the 3-4, the Tite front, play 0, you're playing two-gap nose. No, we're playing single-gap, A-gap fits with him, okay? And so with the 225 kid we have, he could do it because his feet and his leverage were unbelievable, right? And both 4 eyes. We play single gap fits to the base. Like we do, but we don't start head up 4-0-4. Like we don't play 2-gap and jet technique and knock you off. We don't do that to start. Mm-hmm. That comes later. We start with 4 eyes, 0-4 eye, and play single gap fits. Okay, and we don't slant and move and do that to start. We can.
Right.
Okay. But for me, I want a guy on top of the ball to draw double teams, right? I want Mike and Will, my 2 inside linebackers. I want them free. I want them clean, okay? Right. And then I want odd fronts. Like I said, we're beating this to death. I want to make it tough on you, right? Mm-hmm. Another misconception is, hey, you got to max fit the run. No, you don't. You know what people call the nest fits. You've heard me call it stack track fallback or rope-a-dope, right? Where we're going to take the nickel star out of conflict. Yes, conflict players exist. Well, we talked to RPO for 37 times a day already. Okay. Tough to teach. Again, misconceptions. People think, it's tough to teach. It's different. Yeah, it is different. It's not tough to teach. It's something you got to learn, right? It's like birth. Like you're not born with knowledge. You have to learn. You have to evolve. Okay. People are like, well, I want to be in 4-2 because it's gapped out fits. Everybody knows what gaps there are. I'm like, they do. But problem one is it's easy to block if I'm an offense. And 2, I know exactly what your gap is, right? Offense wants you in shades. They want you in a shade 3. They want the back block the shade, Mm-hmm. And then, one of the other misconceptions is I don't really want to drop 8. I get it. We'll rush 4. We'll rush 5. We'll play 3 into 3 deep, okay? But think about it. What happens? You're scouting the opponent in your Saturday, Sunday, and they leave the back end the whole time. It's 6-man pro, 6-man pro, 6-man pro, 6-man pro. In the back, 9 out of 10 plays, he's in the pass protection. Maybe one time or twice, they might shoot him out to get 5-man pro. Okay. But think about it. Why do I want to bring a 4th, and we do, against 6-man pro? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When you got 4 in the route, think about it. 5 linemen, the back, there's 6. You got 4 in the route. I want to play drop 8.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I want to play 3 over 2, 3 over 2, and also use the Mike and Will as cutters or matchers or whatever coverage we're playing. Right. So, I talk about misconceptions. People think, drop 8's a different world. Yeah, it's different, but do the numbers game. I want to be able to play plus. I always talk about +1 in the run game. Well, I can be +1 in the pass game too. So, and that's one. Like I said, those are just a few misconceptions that I think people have about playing the 3-4, playing the Tite. Exactly. There's 5 shade 4 eye guys out there that are 3-4, but then they're like the real true 3-4 that are playing 4 eye 0-4.
Right.
And like for me, I know a lot of guys who are 5 shade 4 eye. They start, but they're always bringing a 4th. Somehow, some way, they're getting a 4 down front, and that's great. Yes, you look like a 3 down. I'm with you. Pre-snap, you look like a 5 shade 4 eye. You're 3 down, but somehow, some way, you're bringing one of those 4.
Mm-hmm. Right.
True, but when you get down to it, post-snap, what do you got to? 5 shade, the 4-eye went to a 3, and you brought the outside backer to play a 5 technique. You got the under or over front, depending on where the field, the trips, the back, the whatever it is.
You're just standing up an end and moving them around.
Yes.
That's all you're
Right.
doing. And
So for me, I think playing 4 eyes again, does it have, look, this isn't hey, I'm trying to sell you, I'm playing 4 eyes. But it does have a lot of strengths. Weaknesses, absolutely. We all do. It all does. But playing the 4 eyes has changed our world considerably and has made offenses work on us.
Mm-hmm.
Again, have we had our bad nights? Oh my gosh, yes. Have we had our good nights? Oh my gosh, yes. But doing that has made me evolve, has made our opponents evolve.
Oh no, trust me, 4 eyes are a pain. Even if we figure out how to stop them or combat it, it's still a pain because it takes away our base rules. So what do we have to do on the sideline? We have to tweak it, and we don't want to tweak it all the time.
Right.
Trust me, the ISO thing, when we saw 4 eye, I had a fold block, shoot out the guard, and wrap the tackle. Do you think we practice that every day? No, because we don't see it all the time.
Right.
But the moment they hop into it, how do I combat that? Well, I fold block. I read him. Well, if I read him, what if you blitz a guy around him? Now you got 2 things to worry about because you're not blocking 2 guys.
And do they teach the 4 eye to chase it, or do they surf it and sit there? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now what am I getting?
Right.
And we've done both. We've got a base way to teach that 4 eye. But I tweeted out a video the other day about how we handled one week we handled where if I got guard pull, we went straight to quarterback because I knew I was getting red.
Right.
Okay. And then we've done to where we just stop. We just sit there. Next week we ran with the pull. So yes, we have a base way to do it August 1st, but October 1st may be different because of how we game planned it.
Right. No, I hope I never see a 4 eye again, but I know I'll probably see it week 1. It's just what's happening. So what's your favorite coverage? You probably been asked this, not your favorite necessarily, but when you're basing it, what do you guys do? This is my base coverages.
So I'm gonna start here. 18 years ago, we all started in the palms or key or read to, and everybody runs, but we got out of that. Out of that, and we can talk more about that if you want to. But we've gotten in the past couple of years, where we're playing press quarters. Okay, where we're telling the corners you got one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before you get too crazy, well, you got 2 corners. Sometimes, yeah. Okay, but when I say press quarters, okay, and I did a clinic on this too that you can find on YouTube about playing palm and press corners and how we teach them. We teach, and I'm joking, but we teach them 38 different techniques to how to play press and how to play off and bail technique with our corners. Okay, but how we're playing 2s is how we're going to play out and vertical. We're going to play out and up with the safeties. Okay. Right. One of the reasons we do that is because, when we're playing palms and people don't run the 3-yard speed cut anymore. People a long time ago when we were playing in high school, it was 3 yards and out, right? You stuck your inside foot in the ground and you went out right now. Oh yeah, palms is great against that. The corner's going to trap it and the safety's on top of one. It's beautiful. But what people have gotten really, really good at is they take that speed cut and they roll it over and they now run what we call cell route. So it looks like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he rolls over. Well, by the time he rolls over and gets the sideline, he's at 9, 10 yards. And now the safety's going, Coach, I thought he was at 10 that he rolled over. And the corner goes, well, he started rolling over at 5. And I'm like, well, who's got 1 on the vertical? And they both look at each other and go, So that was one of the reasons why we got out of it. Now, we still play, yes, but it's not the first thing we teach anymore.
Okay.
We teach playing press quarters or mod quarters. Mod, M-O-D, man on demand. I know people call it man on deep. Same idea, okay? To where we're playing 2 vertical and we're playing 2 out with the safeties. Okay, and one of the reasons is because we can also attach those outside liners, again, 3, 4, a little closer to the box. Okay, are we apex? Yeah, we're apex, but we're a little tighter to the tackle than we are number 2. Okay, because I know I can tighten down my safety to about 9 yards and play ball to 2. Okay, so I'm flat foot read, 2 out, got it, 2 vertical, got it, 2 shallow underneath. I'm going to pass it, and I'm going to either rob 1, or we've done it to where we foxed it, meaning 2 is shallow. While I took my eyes to the opposite side of the field to play 2. We've done it both ways. So when you say favorite, day 1, because it's simple, it's easy. Okay, right. That's probably the basic favorite, if that makes sense.
Right.
I've got other faves, but we're going to call it the right time, or what I hope to be the right time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think in the side note, I think it's also funny whenever Clint guys go, oh yeah, we'll call it the right time. I'm like, did you go over to the offense coordinator and ask him if it was okay if you can run this right now? Everything's a gamble. We're rolling dice saying, gosh, I hope this hits now.
Right.
I've got other stunts and blitzes and movements and coverages that are really my favorite. But when it comes to day one with our seventh graders, like, here, dude, this is the same. You're running the same stuff that guy's going to run on Friday night tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I say favorite, basic way is that one.
Okay.
And, when Pat Narduzzi, when he was at Michigan State back in 10, 12, 15 years ago, that's what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right, playing press courts. They were pressing one on the corner, and they were playing in and out because they were over front. They were attaching that overhang, that nickel backer, pretty close to the box.
Right.
And then you got to be the head coach at Pitt, and he's doing the same thing that he was 12, 15 years ago. Has he evolved? Yeah, I know you're going to say, well, Coach is doing the same thing 15 years ago, and you were against that. No, hear me out. Okay? He's doing it because it's easy. Right? And it comes that fine line. If I want to be cutting edge and I want to stay on top of the game and I want to do something people aren't doing, there also is a fine line of saying, look, this has worked for years. Let's keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those.
Right. So how would you practice a lot of that read stuff? Because this might be a dumb question. Years ago, a coach put in the 4-2-5, and he pulled out that TCU playbook everybody has in the entire world and wanted to go word for word of what this was: blue coverage, mixed coverage,
right.
And to try. And I was outside safeties and the OC at the same time. So being the OC, I could care less about what the defense was doing because I'm worried about everything
Sure.
else.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So the outside safeties, he's like, we got to teach this. If they do this, they're going to jump this and do this. And we did it in 2 days. 2 days in 1 week. And I'm like, you can't do this. And so we're installing the 4-2-5 now at my school now, but I don't watch them. I'm the offensive line coach. I don't watch it. So I'm curious how people teach something like that. I'm just very curious how you drill it, like this read stuff.
Talking about the palm stuff too, read stuff. Yeah, like I said, it's our second coverage we put in, right?
Yeah.
But we drill it like, we half scale it, right? So we take the corner safety and outside backer and do it like 2x2, like everybody in America does. Nothing cutting edge there, right? And say, hey, 1, you do this, 2, you do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we drill it like everybody else does, quick game to long game. We call, the deep shot, we call it quick game to long game. And so drill it. I'm not going to give you anything that that's cutting edge, that's amazing. No, we do it just like everybody else does, man. But I think what helps is the techniques of the corners. Okay. Instead of everybody playing 7 yards off and, oh yeah, we're going to let them catch the hitch. I've got so tired of that. What helps your coverages is the corner technique.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the techniques, and I say that plural, how many techniques you can give that kid and play the same. I've got one. Okay. That's why, again, we went to press quarters. So you're talking about playing palm and key. Yeah, it's great for a changeup, but it's not something that, again, we live and die by like we did 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. Okay. Like I said, the press cores, again, you guys can find this on YouTube. Just Google my name on YouTube, and you can find it's hour and a half, almost 2 hour clinic of that. So I would rather drill our press quarters all day and drill work and handy work our corners to death, if that makes sense.
No, right. And it's funny you brought up technique. I know people are adapting, like your corner, because of how he is, change the technique to where it works best for him in that coverage.
Right.
It doesn't have to be this all the time, the same thing all the time. So I'm taking the nugget, you see. I'm going to take that back. Like, we don't have to do this for everything all the time.
Sure.
I told you I had stupid questions. I was like, I'm going to do this.
I like it. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah. I've taken a lot of your time. So I think if there's anything else, I've tried to watch some of your stuff. The last time I think I watched something you did was with Nate Allball and Chief Pigskin. I know Nate. He coached a school when I was a senior in high school, and they beat us by 1 in overtime. So when I ever talk to him again later on in life, I say, remember when I was a senior and you guys beat us by 1? He goes, you were on that team, weren't you? And I was like, you son of, like, thanks a lot, Nate.
Nate's good people. Yeah. shameless plug. I did 2 videos for Nate. You can find sheeppigskin.com. It's in the store. One of them is on 3x1 coverages that work multiple and how we do our 3x1s. And they're not all on there, but there's some that you can do it out of 4 down or 3 down. And the other one is how we bring a 4-man rush out of odd front, out of 3 down front. And so would love for you guys to check it out. DM me at Coach Gower, all one word. I hope you got something out of this. I've always heard that don't go to clinic to learn everything, go to clinic to learn one thing, and so I think of this as a clinic. I think of this as a network. I think of this as what one thing did you take away? And if you did, hey, DM me. If you didn't, DM me, so, like I said, our state associated clinic's coming up here in a little bit. And as of right now, whenever, you release this, but one of the deals is we go down and, we're fortunate that Division I guys are really speaking. Like, they're not just giving you the recruit and come see us, and they're giving you stuff. I mean, they're talking ball and they're X's and O's, and they're hanging out with you after the sessions. And so, in our state association clinic, it's really, really cool. And I know everybody's got association clinic, but it's cool because Texas, and there's 20,000 football coaches that are going to be there. And you get to know people from El Paso and Houston, Texarkana and Lubbock and Dallas and Austin, and you shake a hand and you only might see a guy once a year, but you talk to him, you network, and you get in a dark room with him and you start talking about this, that, and the other thing, and all of a sudden you made a friendship,
right?
You made a bond. And so, and that's what this is about right here. What Coach Steve has done and developing this podcast and getting on Twitter and other apps, whatever you get at. It's I think it's really, really cool how this game has evolved. And COVID. Hey, COVID is awful. Was awful. But when I say this, don't take it wrong. But it's cool that we as football coaches evolved.
Right.
We figured out a way to make Zoom our friend.
Mm-hmm.
We figured out a way to get better during a time that was detrimental to all of us.
Right.
And so I think it's really, really cool that you've seen the podcast and you've seen guys that just hop on Zoom together. You've seen the chalk wars. You've seen all this stuff that's out there. People that are willing to share information, networks, clinics. And some of the best friends, some of the best guys I found are not around here.
Right.
They're we're trying to get plane tickets to go see each other or meet halfway. Right. So. I don't mean to ramble, but with Coach Steve and what other people are doing with their podcast and this, and it's just coaches in the office talking ball, getting to know each other. And so I'm honored to be with you guys, and thank you for having me. So, that's it. Like I said, I'm Tite Gower. My Twitter's at Coach Gower, Coach Kid, born and raised Oklahoma, recently moved down to Texas. Love talking ball, love learning ball. I wouldn't be in a position that I've been able to speak at Glacier, or being in a position to speak at clinic or with this podcast or that podcast, and without help, without dudes mentoring me and helping me and networking me and just helping me to get to where I am. So, man, thank you. I appreciate you having me.
No, thank you. If no one took anything, they can blame me. They don't have to blame you. They can blame me if they got nothing out of it. It'll be my fault. But I thank you. Thanks to anybody that's listened, and I'll see you guys next time.